Hey everybody, so Quickciv or QC is a mod we use for Civ 3 multiplayer. It's actually the main one we play. More like 70 or 80% of the games we play are that mod. And that's because it allows you to compress the game in all the way up to the industrial era in the course of 2 or 3 hours. So it's a lot of fun in that sense. Because the game is so compressed though, to make the runtime a little shorter, it means that things happen really, really fast and it can be confusing to understand what's going on or what kind of builds to use. Like the regular build orders from vanilla Civ 3 might not be as effective. So I'm going to show you a very effective way in the QC mod to really get off the ground running, and that's a build called the one chop. So I'm going to walk you guys through it once, and then I'm going to do it again and again and again until you see what the picture is. So we're playing as India, and as India we do not start as pottery. So the one chop build refers to using one forest chop to get a granary. So of course, to get a granary, we need pottery. So the first thing we want to research is pottery. Sometimes your team's going to say, hey, we want you to research ironworking or something. In that case, pottery and then ironworking, because you don't want to slow down your growth just to help with techs. Growth is more important. So the first thing you want to do is, there are a few things you need for the one chop, first of all. You need at least one bonus grassland and at least 2 forest tiles. Oh, and you need water so you can irrigate the bonus grassland. And yeah, that's about it. Most of the starts you get in QC, I'd say about 60-70%, you can do some form of the one chop. And yeah, it's a really good idea to do so. So notice how we're searching pottery. Let's just throw that bad boy at 100%. So the first thing we build is a warrior. You can't build the granary any sooner, so you might as well get a warrior out first. And what you can do with that warrior is you can go find your allies. So let's say your ally says he's at C12. You can send your warrior this way. So you take your worker the first turn and you put it on the bonus grassland tile. Then you irrigate that tile. So now notice how Delhi went from growing in 2 turns to growing in 1 turn. It's really key that if you're not working this particular tile that you irrigated, you switch to that tile. Otherwise your city won't grow as fast. Then you switch production to a worker. Great. So your pottery is almost done. So we'll switch to a barracks in the meantime so that we can accumulate some shields that will go towards the granary. And now what you want to do is chop. You can either move this worker and put it on the forest, or just for variety, what you could also do is wait a turn and move this worker. So you've got 2 options depending on what works better for you. And you do whatever you want with your other worker. You just have to make sure to chop. Oops. So switch to granary. Perfect. So notice we have 4 shields in production. 4 shields to build a granary. This is the perfect build in the sense that it really optimizes the number of shields that you're using. And Delhi will finish the granary. And then as soon as that's done, you switch off the forest tile. You need that forest tile to get that 1 extra shield. But once you have the granary, you want the growth. So you switch to growth. And from there, you can do some fun stuff like, I don't know. You build a warrior. And yeah, that's 5 shields. The next citizen will auto-assign to this forest tile. So that would give you 7 shields, which is exactly enough for a settler in this mod. Great. That's the one chop. Notice how it really makes you get off the ground running. You got your granary up, you're growing 1 per turn in your capital. And yeah, you got 2 workers, so you got some flexibility. If you want extra production, you can mine this hill, for example. And you can start roading towards your enemies, towards your future cities. It gives you a lot of flexibility to do whatever you want. So I'm going to show you 4 more examples of this, just in case I didn't get the point across. Yeah, so here you got your 2 forests, you got your source of water, and you got your bonus grassland. So let's pretend I'm using that tile right there. If I was using that tile right there, notice how deli is not growing next turn. You want to switch to the irrigated tile to make sure the deli grows, and then worker. So the order is warrior, worker, granary. So chop. And an important part of the build is switching off of the forest tile so you grow. Because if I didn't do that, it would have taken me an extra turn to grow, and that limits your expansion. So you want to be growing as fast as possible. Great, so that's the build. Oops, that's the wrong save file. I'm going to do this faster and faster. You should be able to do this in your sleep without really thinking about it, because your teammate's going to be yelling at you. You're going to have like text to deal with. You want to be able to do this without thinking about it too much. So Germany does not start with pottery. So research pottery. Irrigate first, do not road first. Make sure to irrigate first. Switch to worker. Yeah, that's right. Oops, almost forgot to chop the forest. Boom. Granary's done, and then switch from the forest tile to the grassland tile. Perfect. Try this 2 more times. So part of this video is for like the veterans of the community who have like issues growing fast. Because a lot of them are like very good at like knowing how to manage their units and stuff like that, and knowing the course that the game takes, but they might not necessarily optimize their growth orders, so they can fall behind in that sense. So, as the Russians, there's 2 things that are different. First of all, you start with pottery, so take whatever the hell you want, or whatever your team wants you to do, and you also start with a scout. So you explore with 1 scout, and then in Moscow, you build a 2nd scout. It's because you got some time before the enemy comes to you. Oh, a good thing about the one shop is you're not really exposed in QC, because the enemy will never start close enough that they can attack you while you're still getting your granary up and running. The only real problem is barbarians. Like if, let's say, there's a barbarian hut right here, and the borders will expand next turn. I'll just set this to auto-explore. Yeah, if the borders expand next turn, and it pops the hut and barbarians come, well, now you're fucked. So in that case, you'd want a warrior instead of a scout, but because we're not really facing that right now, we can just go for the 2nd scout and get the exploration. Normally you wouldn't automate exploration, you'd want to do it manually, but to save time. So Moscow growing in 2 turns, switch it up, growing next turn. That's an important part of the build. Great, and now one last time. The Netherlands. So the Netherlands are agricultural, but the 1 shop is still a good build order for them. So yeah, I'll do it like this. Because you get the extra food from being agricultural, you don't actually have to irrigate first. You can if you want, it doesn't really matter. So switch to granary. We'll irrigate now. Great. And that's all there is to it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you haven't seen our video on how to join multiplayer games, it's the most recent one I posted on this channel, so check that out if you want to play with us. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time.